When thoughts roam freely, ideas interweave. When new connections are forged, innovation is unleashed. The more technologies become interconnected, the more possibilities emerge, and the more customers expect. And when customers expect more, faster, you need to adapt quicker. You need to empower them with personalized experiences across all channels. Behind the scenes, APIs are the unsung heroes, integrating systems, unifying data, and enabling all the connected experiences we've come to rely on. With the combined power of MuleSoft and Salesforce, customers can connect anything and change everything. Because when it all comes together in a memorable human experience, that's when the future has finally arrived.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Alyssa Barker, Marketing Manager for Australia and New Zealand here at MuleSoft. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in live. We're thrilled to have you, and I'm so excited to be able to share how MuleSoft can help you unleash the full power of Salesforce Customer 360 with APIs and integration. As you would have seen throughout today, the world is changing, and there's a customer revolution underway. And the catalyst of this change is today's customers. Today's customers expect integrated, personalized, and truly connected products, services, and experiences that meet them where they are and span across every channel. As a result, companies are under greater pressure than ever before to go faster, innovate at scale, and be more agile. And this revolution isn't isolated to just one industry. Companies across every industry are in the midst of a digital transformation and facing the imperative to deliver and delight their customers or risk getting left behind. So a question I pose to those tuning in online is, if the need for connected experiences is so pervasive, why are so many of our apps and experiences fragmented? And the reality is our data is disconnected. It's disconnected from our customers, our partners, and our employees. And all too often, trouble with integrating these systems and unlocking data is the #1 reason that new initiatives fail. In MuleSoft's recent 2020 Connectivity Benchmark report, which surveyed 800 IT leaders from across the globe, it revealed that while nearly every enterprise is undertaking digital transformation, 85% are slowed down by integration challenges and data silos. So how do we solve this? How do we break down the barriers to drive digital transformation and go faster? Well, the good news is you've come to the right session. In the next 30 minutes, we're going to show you how MuleSoft and Salesforce together can help make this hard problem easy, or at least a whole lot easier. We're going to talk through 3 main things. The first is how we can help you integrate your systems and unlock data with APIs to create connected experiences faster than ever before. The second is how we can empower everyone in your organization to innovate securely and sustainably. And the third is how APIs allow you to harness the full power of your ecosystem to take innovation beyond the 4 walls of your organization. So please tune in and let's get this show on the road. To kick things off, I'd like to welcome to the stage Dan Owen.
Thank you, Alyssa. Hi, my name's Dan Owen, and I'm the Regional Vice President for Customer Success Architecture here at MuleSoft. So I'm really thrilled to be here at World Tour Reimagined. Over 20 months ago, Salesforce acquired MuleSoft, and I'm really energized in the customer conversations I have day to day with the potential that our customers see with MuleSoft and Salesforce together. The Customer 360 vision is there for the platform, but it's a challenge because it's not connected to organizations, applications, and systems. Integration is critical to realizing this solution. And integration, we hear time and time again from our customers, is hard and it is slow. We heard in the 2019 Connectivity Benchmark Report that the number one reason that business initiatives are failing is due to integration. But why is it so hard? First, as we heard from Alyssa, data is disparate across many systems and applications in an organization. We know from a Gartner report that typically a business transaction will touch 35 applications and systems in an organization. But that's just one dimension. That's just one customer journey in an organization. Second, it's just the sheer number of systems an organization has. And this is a kind of a multiplication problem, the number of systems and the number of journeys. On average, we understand our customers to have over 1,000 systems. And worryingly, 2/3 of those today are not connected and integrated. The third, and probably the hardest problem, is actually just how to integrate these systems into our organization. Organizations, of course, want projects to be delivered fast and reliably. And so typically we find our customers, they default to writing some small custom code to meet the needs of that immediate integration problem now and try and get that business initiative moving forward. It's just because it's easier when we look at it project by project. But we find time and time again when I work with customers over the months that this becomes the enemy of speed and agility in your organization. The custom code is actually a bottleneck in your organization, and it's brittle. It requires developers to constantly come back and maintain that code to make it work each week and each month of the year. We have too few of the developers in organizations that understand that integration, and so therefore can change it and adapt it to your organization. And it all just becomes too hard when we think about it in an enterprise concept to have a truly connected organization. And therefore, connected customer experiences become just a dream for our customers. We can liken the new approach to the API. The API is the game changer. And what we mean by an API is a piece of integration that's exposed as an API, which is a real standard way in an organization to connect and use that integration. We can liken it to Lego building blocks. You buy your Lego set, you get instructions and bags of little bricks, and you can use those bricks to build the model that you've bought. But just like on every brick, the nub and the holes are standard to connect each other together. So you and your children can build different models that aren't necessarily what you bought. You can put them together. And just like that, APIs are building blocks for your organization. And so we want to encapsulate unique business capabilities as an API. Once we do this with APIs, just like Lego, we can reuse each block and each API in your organization. So maybe a business capability we developed for one project earlier in the year can be reused in a later project later in the year. And so therefore, we become assemblers in our organization. We take each API and we assemble them together to build solutions. We may reassemble them to build solutions. So APIs are create reuse. And we don't have to ignore the legacy. Many organizations still have legacy mainframes and legacy systems that are integral to the business operation. And so we need to unlock that data and application to meet the new digital connected experiences. So we wrap the legacy systems with these APIs to expose them as a standard component. And so with composability and reusability, we start to meet the needs of the business, which is speed and agility. So we quickly move from being builders in an organization to then being composers and assemblers of capabilities. We are then more able to quickly and creatively make solutions, to innovate for our organization, and actually then to create those differentiated customer experiences. But how do we do this? We at MuleSoft truly believe that the MuleSoft Anypoint platform is the world's leading integration platform in market today. And that's for a few different reasons. The Anypoint platform lets us build integrations and expose them as APIs and manage them as APIs on one single platform. That means we can start to unify our data sets that's been exposed as APIs into our organization as an API and start to unleash the full power of the Salesforce 360 vision to deliver those connected customer experiences that we so want to deliver. Once we start exposing all the legacy systems and applications in our business as APIs, we can then start to integrate and create that single source of truth of our customer and leverage the true power of the world's #1 CRM solution. Just last year at Dreamforce, MuleSoft were very proud to announce the accelerators for Salesforce. These are pre-packaged, ready-to-go solutions to integrate both to Commerce Cloud and Service Cloud, so you can quickly integrate and build them into your ecosystem. We find on average that this reduces the cost for organizations up to 60%. So that's delivering your project 60% quicker by using pre-built accelerators. But we don't just stop there. These accelerators, which are out of the box and available on any point exchange, are also complemented with our rich array of connectors to connect to other systems like SAP or ServiceNow, and to really surface that data up into Salesforce. These connectors and accelerators are battle tested and ready to go and used by our customers in production today. So now I'd like to pass to Alyssa to really talk about, now we have the technology components of APIs, how we now start to empower people in your organizations to begin to innovate with APIs. Alyssa.
Thank you, Dan. Hello, everyone. Again, I'm excited to share more about how we're empowering everyone in the organization to innovate with APIs. But before I do, let's spend a moment to discuss why this matters. Why is it so important that we find a path that lets us go faster and innovate at scale in a way that's governed but not gated by IT? We want to empower everyone to build and innovate in this way. MuleSoft wants to make it possible for any employee to integrate systems, unify data, and deliver connected experiences without writing a single line of code. Because today, everyone needs to be empowered with the tools to drive digital transformation. For our customers already taking this API-led approach, they've seen a whopping 70% increase in productivity, as well as huge gains in speed, agility, and scale. And the best part is, this is achievable by everyone, not just big global companies with vast resources. But in order to enable companies to make this leap, we need to empower those within IT and outside to be champions of digital transformation. Companies of all shapes and sizes across all industries need integration trailblazers. Integration trailblazers can be anyone who wants to apply the power of APIs to transform the customer or employee experience. We want trailblazers who can think differently about applying APIs to help every corner of the organization go faster and do more. So how can we help create more integration trailblazers around the world that can drive their companies through this change? We're making this possible in two ways. The first is product innovations, and the second is new learning and enablement. First, let's dive into product. Today in Flow Designer, you can use clicks to declaratively build integrations or connect existing integrations into your Salesforce apps. And while we'll continue to enrich the MuleSoft Anypoint platform with the tools that pro coders and devs need, we're also on a mission to make integration more acceptable to everyone. That is why we're so excited to be able to offer integration with clicks, not code. Using clicks, not code, you'll be able to leverage the most common integrations out of the box on Anypoint Exchange, our marketplace for APIs and integration. And the best part is, you can accomplish all of this while still ensuring IT can apply governance and monitoring to safeguard those critical assets. This is a huge step forward to help make APIs and integrations accessible to the entire organization. But we can't stop there, because great technology alone isn't enough to affect this type of change. We need great technology, and we need a new skill set. And that is why we're so excited that we're committed to skilling up the world on APIs. You can go into Trailhead today and take the Integration Trailblazer Trail Mix and learn all about the power of APIs, how to apply them, and become an integration trailblazer. And for those that want to take the next step, get more hands-on, build and deploy APIs, you can become an integration professional and get certified on the MuleSoft product. Again, all available today. So I challenge our online viewers, which of you will become the next integration trailblazer or integration professional? Lastly, to remind everyone of our continued commitment to skilling up the world on APIs, last year at Dreamforce, MuleSoft pledged to skill up 100,000 integration trailblazers in the next 5 years. because it's all about training up the workforce of the future on this critical skill. And we're not alone on this journey. Our partners have also committed to join us, and they're planning on skilling up 10,000 integration Trailblazers and certify 5,000 integration professionals, again, all in the next 5 years. So we're now going to move to Chapter 3. We're going to look at how you can use APIs to not only unlock innovation in your own four walls, but you can also enable and empower your ecosystem to innovate right alongside you. And to share more about how we're doing that, I'm going to invite back to the stage Dan Owen. Hello, Dan.
Thanks, Alyssa. So we've heard about how APIs are this catalyst for innovation, how APIs can integrate to your systems, data, and applications to create these connected customer experiences. And we've heard from Alyssa how we can start to enable the people and ecosystem in your organization to deliver these APIs. But demand is far greater than supply. Trying to meet the demand with your own organization alone may not meet your business needs. So we need to be able to both enable greater collaboration internally, but also start to leverage broader ecosystems. And that's starting to think about developers and consumers outside of your organization. We need to democratize access to your data and applications. And this is going to require a change of mindset in your organization. And fundamentally, this is about thinking about APIs as products. And it's not just simply calling APIs products. It's about the organizational change that starts to believe that products have their own strategy, their own roadmap and lifecycle, that you need to think about the consumption and support of them, and think of them as an asset in your organization. And once we begin to think about APIs as products, we need to think about who the users of those APIs are. And those users, or customers as they may be, are developers. And so how do we interact with developers in a collaborative fashion? And also, how internally do you promote the API value to your business stakeholders who may not even consider APIs to be an IT asset or even a business asset? And of course, we need to create those delightful developer experiences to engage that ecosystem. So how do we do this? How do we start to think of design with outside thinking and what those APIs should be? We need to think about having open standards for APIs. The Salesforce Cloud Information Model is one example that's published online to enable collaboration across any industry and lots of developer ecosystems. We need to think about a marketplace. Where can you go and find APIs in your organizations or in the suppliers in your ecosystem to see what APIs they may have that you can leverage to build the connected experiences you want to do? Of course, we've got to think about the customers, the developers, and onboarding them into your ecosystem securely and making sure you know who's got access to these assets. And once the developers are in your ecosystem, they're going to require support. And how do you do that effectively? And critically as well is how do you foster collaboration? And once you foster collaboration, you will accelerate the innovation in your organization. So, how do we do this? It's great to think about the Endpoint Community Manager that went GA last year at Dreamforce. API Community Manager allows you to build and expose those APIs in your organization. It builds an ecosystem to share APIs, and it drives that adoption. It also allows you to monitor the activity engagement in that ecosystem to see which APIs are being used, which developers are active, and where you are. Endpoint Community Manager is built on the Salesforce platform. It leverages the best of Community Cloud, Marketing Cloud, and Service Cloud to build that solution. And what I'd like to do is take you through an example of how HSBC have gone on this journey with Endpoint Community Manager.
Growing up back in India, I used to tinker with everything electrical. The exposure to computers came in pretty late for me. When my dad asked me to inventory things in his business, and we spent 3 days counting stuff, I said, why can't we do this better? All we're using is a calculator. And then I begged my dad to buy a computer. So can we get a computer and put everything in there? HSBC is an institution. We've been around for over 150 years. And as the CTO for the company, I focus heavily on the experience that we provide our customers.
Our customers expect to use their bank and their banking services any time of the day, whenever they want. The bank, as we know it traditionally, have become a lot more hidden, whereas the banking services have become more relevant. APIs have democratized banking services so that developers can build amazing applications.
We are building many APIs, and one of the challenges for us was to find the right solution to help build a community around the APIs. When Salesforce and MuleSoft came together, the power of MuleSoft's APIs could just be unlocked. There's one partner that brings us not just the back office solution, but also now the customer-facing solution.
Today, if I'm a developer, I feel like I've got access to the entire banking set of services at the flick of a button on my keyboard.
So today, you don't have to apply for an HSBC mortgage on HSBC. If I'm a developer at an online real estate search platform and I want to provide a seamless property purchase experience, I go into HSBC's open banking portal, look for the right APIs. Once they have access to the APIs, it's easy for them to build journeys that let the customer get a pre-approved amount for mortgages right there on the partner's website. So it's seamless now.
So now the customer is at the center of the ecosystem.
We hope that driving choice just enhances the value of the customer's relationship with HSBC, so we can be a partner of confidence.
So that was great to hear about the HSBC experience, how they're building integrations and servicing them as APIs for the external community. Now I'd like to welcome Bill, who's going to take us through that journey with Anypoint Community Manager. Thank you, Bill.
Hi, my name is Bill Hicks. I'm a regional manager for solution engineering here at MuleSoft. And thanks, Dan, for that introduction. And I'm really here today to take you through a demo to show you and really bring to life some of the things that Dan and Alyssa have spoken to you about so far today. So, firstly, if we look back, we're going to base this demo around our DreamMove retail platform. It's a real estate platform that I can go to. It's much like Domain, realestate.com.au, but it really gives me a platform to go and try and find my dream home. But unfortunately, we've found that there's actually a disconnected customer experience as part of the platform. And so what happens is I can go and I can search for my house, but I then need to interact outside of the platform with a bank to actually understand if I can afford the home that I want to purchase. So what I'm actually going to do is break this down. We're going to follow Lauren, who's a project manager at DreamMove, to understand how she actually goes ahead and fixes this challenge that we see. And we're going to break that down into 3 different areas. So those 3 different areas, first of all, we're going to see how Lauren interacts with and explores the API ecosystem. Secondly, we're going to see how developers can leverage those APIs. And finally, we're going to see how the HSBC internal admins can get visibility into how people are interacting with their API ecosystem. So Lauren recalls receiving an email from HSBC introducing her to their API ecosystem. When she accesses the link, she launches an engaging, pixel-perfect experience that allows her to understand the HSBC APIs. She can see a broad range of products and services HSBC has to offer, along with different solutions, news and announcements. So they're really marketing their APIs to their end users. She can see that the APIs have been organized into different groups, and she needs to create a new product. So she clicks into the product section. She's looking for a mortgage API, and when she finds it, she clicks into it for more detail. She then sees dynamic documentation associated with the API that she can interact with. Scrolling down, she can see the methods available to her, and by clicking on one, she can start to interact with the API to understand more about how it works, including mocking data to use as a sample. If she needs more help, she can go to and browse through some support links. She can get direct support from HSBC's support team, but more importantly, she can start to interact with the HSBC developer community, ask questions, and understand how others in the community are using HSBC's APIs. With the rich information available to her, Lauren is able to make an informed decision and direct her developers to use the API. They come in, click through, and get access. What the developers now have access to is a guided experience all the way from obtaining a sandbox key through to deploying the API into production. The developer can find the API easily, but also understand the lifecycle of the API, increasing the likely success of their project. Now, let's wave a magic wand and move forward in time to when development has been completed and see what outcomes we have. So here is the DreamMove website results from a search that has been performed. We can see the detail of the search as we could before, but we can also interact with HSBC to understand if I can afford the home of my dreams. So let's recap. Dreamforce have been able to rapidly move from concept to implementation, fulfill a customer need, and open up a new revenue stream. Most importantly, we see the connected customer experience that is now possible. This is the power of innovation driven through an API ecosystem. Now let's take a look at the HSBC admin team's experience. This is the API Community Command Center. The admin team can quickly get visibility into how their API ecosystem is performing by reviewing core KPIs. They can also view and respond to core actions in the bottom left to engage with the community and continue to refine the optimal experience. Let's click into the total members. This results in a view that you should be familiar with. You see a funnel on the left and a segmentation on the right. And you're used to using this to understand your prospect to customer funnel. Given that we view APIs as products, we now view developers as customers. So what you see now is a developer journey funnel on the left and a developer ecosystem segmentation on the right, taking the developer all the way from initial visit all the way through to implementation. Let's examine those that are generating high traffic. As we can see, a common pattern emerges. Each one of the partners that are live are generating a high number of transactions per second and then have relatively high engagement scores. We can see that Lauren from DreamMove is at the top. Let's click into her profile. Now we start to see something really powerful. We have gone from an ecosystem of over 30,000 developers and hundreds of partners down right into a single record so that we can understand what that specific partner is doing. This allows the HSBC admin team to interact in the best way with their most valuable partners. They can drill into Lauren's usage and see what APIs DreamMove is actually leveraging. We can also see the power of AI being applied to developer ecosystems. On the right-hand side, we can see Einstein is recommending the next best action. This is to onboard DreamMove into the HSBC Developers Champion Program. This allows Lauren to be selected and become part of the program and to really promote the brand of DreamMove. It also allows the broader HSBC ecosystem to leverage the knowledge of Lauren as an API trailblazer. There you go. The value of an API ecosystem from multiple lenses. And who would have thought you get to see sparkles as part of an integration demo? MuleSoft only released, as Dan mentioned, ACM late last year, and HSBC went live in November. So with any point platform and the Salesforce Customer 360, HSBC has everything they need to democratize access to banking services and foster innovation. Imagine the value to your ecosystem when you connect anything and change everything. So to complete the keynote, I'd like to now hand back to Alyssa.
Thank you so much, Bill. So as you've seen here today, MuleSoft helps you integrate systems, unlock data to create connected experiences faster and light up the entire Customer 360. MuleSoft and Salesforce together can help make the hard work of integrating systems and creating connected experiences a whole lot easier, unleashing a new era of innovation. HSBC is a great example of how this API-led approach can help you meet the needs of your customers and business. Excited? Intrigued? Here's what you can do next to start your own journey to digital transformation. Firstly, come and visit us in the Digital Expo today. We have experts on hand who can walk you through the MuleSoft demo and answer any questions you have. Next, get onto Trailhead and become an integration Trailblazer today. And the learning doesn't stop there. We're going to bring the power of APIs and integrations to MuleSoft Connect in Sydney from the 30th of June to 1st of July. And most importantly, go back to your office and find a high-impact business initiative that requires data and integration. And then work with your stakeholders to build that project using APIs. Because everything starts with the first project, and we can help you go faster and do more. That wraps up our session for today. On behalf of everyone at MuleSoft and Salesforce, I wanted to sincerely thank you for your time. We are so excited to be on this journey with you, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.